Welcome back to another episode of... No? Okay,
Yep, sorry.
I'm Lee.
And I'm Richard.
And we are exhausted.
We're also experienced business owners with over a decade of lessons behind us. We've operated businesses in many different sectors and in many different parts of the world.
A few years back, I wrote a book called Once Upon a Time in Small Business. I thought I'd told all the important stories. Turns out, I was just getting started.
This podcast is all about the messy, honest, human moments behind business, life, and leadership.
We'll take you through each of the chapters of the book with more stories about the lessons we've learned through our businesses over the years.
This is Richly Told.
Today we're talking about leadership, what it means to be a leader, what it means to not be a leader.
Yeah, well, we spoke about this at lunch a lot yesterday.
Did. We talked about this yesterday a lot because the story that we're going to reference this episode is written from the perspective of a small business owner who was watching another small business owner go through a problem. And this would have been about 10 years ago. And since then, we've seen not only has our experience changed and what we've done in our businesses has changed, but we've also seen the rise of these Insta coaches and a lot of business influencers that I think have really corrupted what leadership actually is.
Well, they've definitely muddled it.
They've definitely muddled it. Let's get down to it.
Let's go right to the start. So we were saying yesterday, we're talking about this. As kids going into adolescence, going into adulthood, our first exposure to any kind of leadership outside of the family circle is working for retail stores, fast food stores, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's.
Business leadership or life leadership? Because I think our first
well, we're talking
experience of leadership would be our schools and parents.
But that's not really, it doesn't really apply to business. We mean business leadership. Yeah. And we go into the workforce not really understanding what that really is, because it is different to home life. It is different to school. It is a whole different thing. So I feel that when you're at home life, your parents tell you what to do. You get very limited choice or anything like that, and then you enter the workforce at the age of 15, 16. You might be working for a fast food joint and your managers are telling you what to do. So you kind of then go through all of that, and I don't think at any point, unless you're really lucky and you have a great manager, have any understanding what leadership really is. And for me, leadership isn't a title. Manager is a title. Store manager, assistant manager. We
did talk about this yesterday. Leadership it's not even a state of mind, it's a state of being. Leadership, isn't it?
It's qualities. It's just the qualities of leadership. Yeah, it's actions.
Actions.
It's not a title.
It's definitely not a title, because you can be a manager without being a leader, and you can be a leader without having any kind of managerial title.
Yeah. So what is it? So a lot of us see it as managers barking orders. Especially when you're entering the workforce. That's not leadership. That's not
management.
That's management.
Yeah.
So what is leadership?
And just to sort of preface this by saying neither of us have any kind of psychology background. We only can speak on our experience in business and in life.
And our mistakes, yeah.
And our mistakes. And from my personal perspective, I have always found myself in leadership positions. I've always found myself being the person that will stand up first or take on a role. So I do think that there are some people that are more naturally, I don't want to say suited, because it's not even that, more naturally attracted to that kind of role or that kind of...
There are definitely people that will see themselves as leaders.
Now that's different again.
But they don't know what it means.
I think
high Ds always see themselves as leaders.
Yes, and when we say high Ds, we're talking about DISC profiles, and that's just sort of one psychological tool to assess different people's personalities in reference to where they fit in a work ecosystem. But that is also adaptive. Richard and I came back as both very high D, which is directive, I think. Directive. Essentially strong-willed, action-motivated. You can go away and have a look at that.
But it didn't make us great leaders.
We might stick a link to the DISC profile stuff on our Instagram, so if anyone wants to go looking further. No, it didn't make us great leaders. Actually, it made us really bad leaders because we are both really independent.
Pig-headed,
stubborn, independent, not great team players.
bordering on arrogance at times.
Yes, not bordering on, but can be arrogant at times. And these are all things that we have had to come to terms with about who we are. I say come to terms with because a lot of those things that you just said traditionally could be seen as a negative or has negative connotations. But if you remove the emotion from it, which is really, really hard to do, especially when you're working for yourself because it becomes your entire life and it's all rolled up in your emotions. But if you remove the emotion from it, there's good and bad in every quality, including those. So we had to come to terms with those parts of our personality and then learn how to recognize when they were coming out and then come up with the tools to not stop them coming out, but maybe change the way that we approached things. I can think of one time in particular with some staff that we had an issue with.
Yeah, I was actually going to reference that.
You were going to reference that?
Yeah.
We
learn a lot.
We'll hold on to that for a second and we will come back to that because the story that I wrote about was about staff 10 years ago, which wasn't our staff and it was a different situation, but we might come back to that at the end. When you can start looking more internally and being honest about who you are as a person, then you start to learn how to lead. So it's not necessarily something that's in you. We hear the term natural leader a lot.
Yeah. I think that's not true.
I think that there are natural leaders and there are people who are naturally more aligned to that.
I think there are people who naturally want to lead. Like there are people that definitely just naturally, because there are people that don't want to lead. There are people that do not want to be leaders.
Yeah.
So I think that people have a natural tendency to want to be a leader.
Yeah.
But the skills, because leadership, you're not born with it. It is a skill. It is a muscle.
Definitely a learned...
It's definitely
learned behavior,
yeah.
I'll say, because
leadership is not being bossy.
I think one of the things that we've learned the hard way multiple times and are still learning it is that the most effective leadership is quiet, I think.
It's usually under the radar. Is that what you mean?
No.
Is people just getting on with things without making a scene? Is that what you're saying by quiet?
Okay, I mean rant incoming here, okay? So I mean leadership isn't standing in front of a video, ironically, that I am sitting here talking to you on a video.
And saying I'm a leader.
Leadership is not a talking head on Instagram or LinkedIn talking about how they are a leader, talking about themselves as a leader. I don't think, anyway. I think there are very, very few people who can call themselves thought leaders or business leaders or actually refer to themselves as leaders in conversation and genuinely be taken seriously as a leader.
I think that Instagram and these things are full of people that want to be leaders.
I think there are a lot of people that see themselves as leaders.
Yeah, but have not actually grasped what it actually is or understand what it is.
No, because I don't think they've been through it.
Yeah.
They haven't been through the things. And I wouldn't even say we're leaders.
No.
I think in some ways we are in the way that we will get out there and talk about this stuff and we will talk about our mistakes and what we've learned and things like that. And there is, in a sense, there is leadership in that.
Yeah.
But I don't consider myself a thought leader or a business leader or anything like that. I consider myself a commentator on business and life and our life and a sharer as well. I'm huge for storytelling and sharing, but I think when you're talking leadership, on the scale that some of these people are trying to portray, I don't think that it's there.
Well, we've spoken a lot about
what it's not.
And we've said that management is a title, is not leadership. So what is leadership? So how I define leadership, I mean, it's right there in the word for me. It's the person or people that are leading. So that could be anything from a kitchen hand in the back of McDonald's, noticing that there's a slip hazard there and just go quietly fix it without having a manager say, hey, go do that.
Or having to let everybody know that they fixed it.
Yeah, or just go fix it. Just the silent people who just go about and doing, they know what needs to get done and that they're going to go to do it. It is the people that will see someone needs help and just goes and helps them. It could be that they're struggling with a task. They will just go up without being asked, donate their time, and help them through it. Step them through it. These are qualities of leadership.
I think it's also the people who can be in situations and be faced with certain situations and don't feel the need to react as well.
Okay.
Like, if we want to use the fast food example, we see videos all the time about people absolutely losing their minds at fast food employees.
Yep.
And I think leadership is when an employee can calmly stand in front of somebody that's losing their mind and communicate effectively and calm the situation and resolve it and move on. I think that is
I agree.
Also leadership.
I agree. So leadership is not a title. There are qualities, and you can learn all these things.
You have to practice.
You have to practice them. You have to practice being calm. You have to practice problem solving. A lot of people, including myself, when a major problem goes down, I get a surge of adrenaline and my stomach gets butterflies, and it's actually can be sometimes hard to actually go, okay, all right, we've got this problem. This is what we're going to do to solve it.
Well, there's that. I just had a really big issue. I was on funnily enough, something called a leadership team. I was on a leadership team on a project. It imploded. And I found myself in this situation where the other people in this leadership team were obviously emotional and frustrated. And there was just a lot of energy, a lot of messages and phone calls and things flying around. And I got a little bit caught up, and I had to take a step back and remind myself that this is a leadership team.
Yep.
So I had to really look internally at what I was doing and how I was acting and how I was perpetuating some of the drama, and then just stop. Take all the emotion out of it, look at it rationally for what it was, resolve it, and move on.
And real leaders, like you touched on it before, they don't seek recognition.
No.
But what happens is they are seen by some people. They are noticed. And what tends to happen is they gain the respect of their peers anyway. And they all of a sudden find that they're the ones that people are going to. It just happens naturally. How do I do this?
So maybe that's where the natural leader thing is, because people will just naturally follow. Embodying some of these, I don't even know what the word is, ideals, ideas, or just qualities.
I mean,
qualities of a leader, maybe.
But you know what I mean? Like they're just the rock that people kind of just they do see, and they are the rock, and they're the ones that people will go to for help. It can be about anything, really. I've seen people at work asking people, this just happened to me. What do you think I should do here?
Oh, that's
like a personal thing.
That's a really important point, actually. And I that was one of the things that I'd written down to touch on, is that everyone has something to teach and everyone has something to learn. It doesn't matter your age, your experience. It doesn't matter. And we actually discussed this recently because we do martial arts as a family, and we are in a class of children and adults. And I think 9 is the youngest.
Yeah.
Our son is actually one of the youngest, and he's 9. And there are a couple of young adults when we're asked to partner with people who will run from the kids. And it started to irritate me a little bit, because I look at this and I think that there's always something to learn and there's always something to teach. And every time I've been partnered with one of the kids, I've been able to take something away from that and give something to them as well. And I think when you're closed off to the idea that your leader doesn't necessarily have to be your superior or your boss, it can be the junior, it can be the co-worker, it can be your kids. My kids have been my biggest teacher in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Well, I worked at the Sheraton for a while when I was a kid. I found that it was the real leaders wasn't the manager of the department. In fact, I couldn't even tell you his name. I maybe saw him 3 times the entire time I worked there. What it was the older guys that had been there for a while that used to get in there and help you. They used to show you how to do things. They used to show you how things should be stacked, how things should be ordered, what order things should be done in even. Learning all of that, because I was doing the stewarding kind of work. I didn't know that we had to constantly check on the bakers because they went through a lot of pots and pans. And if we didn't do that, it had this whole ripple effect throughout the Sheraton where if the bakers couldn't do their thing, breakfast was messed up because it was usually in the night shift. But my manager never told me that. Yeah. My manager, what he told me was, there's the locker room, there's your uniform.
Yeah.
He
wasn't the leader.
He wasn't the leader. He was the manager.
So
I don't think there's such a thing as bad leadership either. I think that there is a lack of leadership.
Yeah, lack of leadership. So that is bad, though. That is bad for the people who are, relying.
No, but I think it's an oxymoron. Bad leadership. You can't say, "Oh, that went wrong because of bad leadership."
Yeah.
No, that went wrong because of a lack of leadership.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was talking about in this.
Yeah.
When I wrote this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I was talking about a friend of ours who had taken on 2 employees, and she became friends with one of them. One of them became her confidant. So with everything we've just said about everyone has something to learn and something to teach, while that's true, when you are in the position of being the business owner and you do bring on employees, you need to be mindful that you're the automatic leader. So you can't just become friends with your employee, particularly when there's 3 of you. In this case, there was 3 of them. She became very good friends with one, and the other one felt like she was on the outs and being ganged up on all the time. Well, that wasn't good.
We made that mistake ourselves a few years ago. We hired some people that I'd known for quite some time, and I think on certain levels we were probably friends.
Yeah.
But there was no leadership from me, and that imploded big time. I just expected them to know what it was that I wanted them to do. I was busy, I kept telling myself.
Yeah.
I never actually took the time to actually show them, and then I blamed them for when things went wrong. That's why I'm saying it's not such thing as bad leadership. No. That was complete lack of leadership.
That's right. In this, I was saying that I was talking about her oversharing as a leader, and in a way we also did that. They knew a lot about our life. We actually let these people into our life a little bit too much, and it actually became really difficult to be a leader. So I did want to end with this. Let's face it, being in business can be lonely. There are times when it's nice just to have someone to vent to, but you need to resist the urge to overshare to your employees. Oversharing can create instability and a lack of confidence in your abilities as a leader. Instead, find a mentor or a business coach to help you sort through any issues surrounding your business. And I think that's what we're saying. You need to find people that can guide you. You need to talk to people that can help you develop these qualities as a leader.
And they can be your employees too.
They can be your employees, but you also need to be aware that when you have employees, you are the leader. I think...
Just be open to learning.
Be open to learning. Given that we're talking about leadership and people that find themselves in leadership positions, that maybe a good topic for us to talk about next week might be imposter syndrome.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely
get excited for that. Come over to visit us on Instagram. I'll chuck some stuff up about disc profiling for anybody that might be interested. Otherwise, we will see you next week. This has been Richly Told.